Hello, good evening, and welcome back to Invictus Racing League, IRL F1 League. It's round 11. We're here at the home of British motorsport and the mecca for many British motorsport fans, and it's Silverstone. And I'm joined, as always, by my good friend on a Monday night, Sab. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, we are here, British Grand Prix Silverstone. There isn't many circuits on the calendar as iconic as this, with all its iconic corners and names, like similar in a way to the way Spa is, how iconic that is. This is right up there with Spa as one of the most iconic, if not the iconic races on the calendar. Tonight, we might be crowning a driver's champion, Gareth?
We might indeed, and yeah, just said if you didn't catch it over on Twitter, just did a Twitter live pushing towards here, and hopefully we will be crowning. I say hopefully, I'm sure Harry BR25 will be hopefully not, but yeah, CIG Gamer 62 looking pretty likely to be sealing his first title back here in Invictus after a few seasons out, and the Renault driver. And I was just saying to the guys over on Twitter, Sab, potentially making it a sweep for Renault. Xbox, F1, F2 and F3, all potential champions in the Renault car.
That's quite an achievement. Renault will be giving out massive bonuses to everybody back at factory if that happens. It's quite amazing, isn't it, how it's fallen this season. Renault have clearly got the job done in all league categories here in Invictus. Tonight we're just loading in now. We have a few new guys joining us tonight. Hopefully see how they go on. But last week in Invictus, throughout the whole of the week, we saw very mixed conditions, didn't we, around Singapore? A lot of rain, a lot of dry, wet running. So we're coming to Silverstone, where if you live in the UK, you know that we get a lot of mixed conditions here as well. So who knows, we could have quite similar tonight, but probably we've all used up all our rain early on in from last week. So be interesting to see as we're there. Look at that, nice bright blue skies. Pretty much how we've got the weather currently in the UK at the moment. So the guys will be pretty chuffed with that. It would be interesting to see what the weather guys predict for the race. But at the moment, it's nice, slick running for them.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, art imitating life, as the beautiful blue skies of outside have made it onto F1 2019 here in Northamptonshire. And Silverstone, the host to round 11 IRL F1. As I said, the home of British motorsport, and along with Italy, the only country have held an official F1 race since its inaugural inception in 1950. British Grand Prix have been held at Silverstone, Donington, and of course Brands Hatch. 5.8 kilometre is the fourth longest on the F1 calendar. It's around 3.6 miles. 66% of the time you're on full throttle. Of course, it's the new layout, the arena layout that we saw redesigned from 2009. This is the style that we've used since 2011. Who have we got going on track with? In fact, we've got a Ferrari, sorry, and we'll go on board with one of the new drivers, and it's one of our reserves that's joining us tonight. It's Andrei O, and Ukrainian in the Ferrari tonight. So we'll see what he can do. 48 gear changes over the lap distance. That makes over a 50% race. 1624. Yes, I'm very good at maths. Longest pit lane on the F1 calendar. A lot of time you spend going very, very slowly. Very easy as you come off the exit of Stowe into the pit lane to struggle to get it slowed down in time. So watch out for, like we saw last week in Singapore, drivers being caught out with getting the car slowed down for the pit lane. Equally, on the exit, it's that long drag up the hill that feeds out onto the exit of turn 2 just after the first corner. So, yeah, it's a pretty tricky pit lane here, Sab, and one that we see, especially on this new layout, as we're just on board with Andre, watching him go around the infamous Cops Corner into Maggots and Beckett's. It's a layout and a track that it's a little bit of Marmite. Some drivers, you often get some drivers that really enjoy driving around Silverstone, and then equally some other drivers that just detest it around here because it's a bit of a driver circuit.
It really is. There is a lot of corners that can easily catch you out if you've not got the practicing or just haven't got the feel for the track. I definitely get what you're saying. It is a real driver's track. I just want to give you some breaking news, by the way, that we're expecting heavy rain at the start of this race, with going to be dry towards the end of the race. So that is really going to mix it up for the guys here on the track. Now, do they go for a wet setup in qualifying and sacrifice their qualifying a little bit, hoping to be a bit more beneficial in the race, or do they just go for it in qualifying and see what they can do early on. But that really has mixed things up. I'm just going to keep an eye on our current championship leader in CRG Gamer 62 now. He's just coming up to Club Corner now to start his first flying lap on a set of softs.
Looks as though, I imagine, we'll see the majority of the feed out on the softs if we're expecting heavy rain start. And yeah, just throw a little bit of mixed conditions into the mix. It always makes that race a little bit tastier. And for someone like Gamer, who is hoping on taking the championship tonight, it's probably the last thing he wants to see is a little bit of some British summertime precipitation coming down. Because, of course, although there aren't particularly any walls too close to the exit of the tracks, of course, you don't want to be spinning, you don't want to be picking up any wing damage, because although we've only got 14 drivers tonight, he does still need those 3 points to take it away from Harry, because, of course, Gamer is missing next week the finale in Monaco. So if Harry was to win tonight, Gamer to no score, then Harry would actually have to win next week in Monaco. So it's going to have to be a pretty much a gift from the heavens if Harry is to steal this away, because he'd actually take it away by one singular point, I believe it is, at the end of the season. So as Andre goes across the line, it's 127.4 for the Ferrari driver. That's your banker. We're expecting to see pole down in the 26s, perhaps even dip into the 25s.
I wouldn't be surprised as now Gamer now heads down towards the end of the final. He's got a few cars slow in front of him, McLaren and a Williams, but shouldn't hold him up too much as he's entering into club now. Hercules goes faster, 26.8. What can Gamer there, look at that. That is a lap time there from Gamer, and if that is a banker lap time, well, you surely imagine him to be dipping into the 25s, a 26.387, a good half a second ahead of Hercules on that first lap, as Scott Bugner there jumps up into second place with a 126.6. So that's a decent lap time there from Scott. He's jumped ahead of Hercules and his teammate on the first run.
He is indeed, and Scott, having gifted himself a beautiful new Fanatec CSL Elite, has actually not managed to get it set up properly in time. So he's using a Fanatec wheel, but with Thrustmaster pedals currently. So botching his setup a little bit, but clearly not hindering him too much, because he puts it on the provisional front row. We've got 12 minutes 44 seconds left to go as Charlie invalidates on the exit of down towards, as we've got a yellow in sector 3. Looks like we've got a racing point off into the distance.
Yeah, MNT Eltic has spun it into the gravel. He's just about kept it there, and luckily for him, it's just before the pit entrance, so he'll be able to recover it nicely and get back into them pits. Luckily, there's no damage on that racing point, and unfortunately for him, he's not going to be able to set a time on his first run, so that'll compromise him somewhat going in later into the qualifying session.
Yep, absolutely. We've still got drivers out on track. Good to see you guys joining the stream. Let us know who you're watching tonight, who you're rooting for. Always good to hear from you. Equally, if you're enjoying what we're offering tonight, make sure you press that like button. As always, we'd love to hit 15 likes on the video, and your help is always appreciated. And generally, thank you so much for all the support over the season. We've got 2 more races, of course, here in Silverstone and next week in Monaco, but it's been a fantastic IRL F1 season as usual with Scopefielder rounds Club Corner. What can the Swede do in his first season back after a break from the game? He comes across the line up into 10th with 127.695, so a slow lap there from the Super Swede, but I'm sure he'll be looking at getting faster. One man that is probably not looking forward to this race as much is Foxy Red 2000, but he's definitely got an eye on next week. We know Foxy is a bit of a Monaco specialist, so if he's not on the pace tonight, watch out for the Alfa Romeo next week, because he's going to be on a man of charge. He's got his eyes firmly set on that the streets of Monte Carlo.
Yeah, definitely. And with Foxy Red, I think he'll be relishing the opportunity of mixed conditions again. Last week there was mixed conditions in Singapore. He ended up on the podium, and he looked pretty comfortable in the end. Yes, Harry had that DRS issue, was unable to get the move done on Foxy, but Foxy drove well that evening and thoroughly deserved to get on the podium. So a mixed conditions race tonight, and with a few people having a few issues, who knows, Foxy might try and steal another place on the podium as well tonight. He's certainly capable of doing it, and last week certainly proved it, as he's probably going to come into the pit. No, he's going to go for another run. Foxy's going to go for another run now. He's just slowing down, and I expect him to have another go as he's already invalidated that lap.
As Charlie goes up into 10th position, 1:27.617 for the second McLaren. His teammate is currently up in third as MNT Hercules, who joined an esports team in the midweek. So congratulations to him for moving to MNT. He currently sits on the second row of the grid alongside Samuel Pepito. We've got Foxy Red, as you said, that was out on track but has invalidated. So we'll go and check in with some of the other drivers that are on an outlap and see just how nice they're looking on track. And we'll go on board with Scott. You can see that lovely cosmic helmet of his as we sit in one of the worst camera views on the game. As you can see, the Rocket Williams Racing, and unfortunately that's not going to be emblazoned upon the car from this season, as of course we've heard from the news over the last few days. So yeah, let us know in the comments, guys. What do you think is going to happen with Williams? Are we going to see Williams in 2020 and moving forwards? And what are they going to be? Are they going to get taken over? What would you like to see from Williams F1? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, guys. Get chatting and let us know. What's the future of F1 for Scott McLaren? Appearing back on track from the absolute nowhere as Sam unfortunately leaves us. We'll get him back in as soon as possible. He's currently sitting in 4th place. But Sab, we've got Gamer, Scott, Harry, Nathan up in 6th position. Good early time for the Mercedes driver. Who's really going to be that one that can challenge? It's 0.3 difference between Scott and Gamer at the moment. So who's the realistic one that's going to start challenging after Gamer?
It's a good question. I would expect Hercules to go quicker. He's currently on his next flying run now. He's down Wellington Straight now. What can he do? Can he improve on his first time? He's up a tenth, just over a tenth on his fastest time. So Hercules currently going quicker. I would expect Hercules to go quicker. It's going to be tough though, is it, to reel in that half a second early on from Gamer, and you'd imagine Gamer is probably going to go even quicker if he can nail this lap. So all the pressure now is on the other guys to try and keep with him at least, because the moment he looks like, at this early stage at 8 minutes already, he's already got this qualifying nailed. But I'm just keeping an eye on the McLaren driver Hercules as he's coming through Maggots and Beckett's now. He's got a slow running car ahead of him, but that shouldn't be a problem as it comes to as he drafts just up behind Nathan there, and he's 3.5 tenths up on his time. So Hercules now coming up to Stowe will be hoping to nail this just right, and he should be going quicker. But unfortunately, if he's only about 3/10, it's not going to be that much quicker in terms of place gains. He might get one up on Gamers. Eltink there, 1:26.2. What a lap from Eltink, as Hercules does improve, but only about 0.3 of a second with a 1:26.5. So he won't be too pleased about that, knowing he's still a good 0.3 off the pace.
Yep, the MNT teammate of Hercules, great lap there from him. The 1:26.247 puts him around about a tenth and a half, or what about a tenth? Yeah, tenth and a bit ahead of Gamer, who bailed out of that last lap. So we'll see if Gamer goes for another run. Sorry, as we've got Sam managed to rejoin us. Nathan will check in with the Mercedes driver. He's invalidated, so we'll drop down to TL44S, his Mercedes teammate for this evening. And Tom, TL44S, he's had a bit of a patchy season. Here and there he's been picking up some decent results, but he's shown us that he is able to run towards the top end of the field. So going into F1 2020 in a few weeks' time, are you expecting to see more from TL44S?
I am. I do believe he is a decent driver. He's had some unlucky races as well. He was going well in Brazil until, unfortunately, there was a collision involving himself, which took him out of the race. And I think he can take a lot of lessons from this season, and no doubt I'll expect to see him scoring more points in the next game in the next season. So TL4 for us, I think, like I say, it's patchy, but I think there's plenty of positives for him to take away. It's his first season in F1, and I'm sure he'll be wanting to aim for like the top 5, top 6, 7, and be a bit more regular, because in the last few races I've noticed he picked up a few penalties here and there, what have eventually cost him good places. So if he could just iron those little bits out, I'm sure he could be proving to everybody that he's a decent qualifier and a decent racer, as he's gone a bit quicker there, 0.2 quicker. That promotes him up to 9th, just behind his new teammate Mr. Nathan 6th tonight in 8th place. So yeah, not much difference between the two Mercedes drivers.
Nope, and TL44S displaces Andre in 10th position. And we'll see what else we got from Foxy Red 2000. He's on a fly, just started his lap coming down the Wellington Straight, the first DRS zone of the lap. You can see that flap on the rear wing of the Alfa Romeo open for the number 12 with the centre helmet ablazoned as he comes in towards Luffield. And on the exit of Woodcote, onto the old start-finish line on the run down to Copse Corner. Some brilliant views if you ever get a chance to sit in the stands along here. You can see the cars at full speed as they hurtle around that fast right-hander with just huge amounts of lateral G-force going through the necks of the drivers and into the famous Maggots, Beckett, Aintree and Chapel for Foxy Red 2000. And the man that's finished on the podium last week in Singapore, can he get himself up towards the thick of it? And it's a good time. However, we'll just quickly note whilst we wait for Foxy to finish the end of the lap, Sab, is Fountain up in 6th position. That's much better from the Belgian driver.
It really is. For me personally, I've been disappointed to see White Fountain struggle so much this season. We've seen him some superb racing from White Fountain in the past. We know he's got the pace. Unfortunately, just this season's just not been there for him. But to see him up in 6th place is much better. And hopefully, come to the race, we see more of the White Fountain we expect. I'm right on board with his teammate Sam. Sam, as you mentioned, managed to get back into the session. He's fractionally up on his time at the moment. It's not really going to do much. Maybe Pullman said no, he's given up on it. He's bailed out of laps. So Sam not happy with that at all and bails on the lap.
And that leaves Andre as the last remaining driver, I believe, out on track. That's setting a timed lap. We'll check in with Nathan and see what he's doing, if he's on a slow down lap. Yeah, he is on a slow down lap. So we'll go back on track with Andre in the Ferrari. And one of the new drivers for tonight, we'll see what his lines are like on around the first sector. So yeah, no pressure for the new driver as he runs in to the arena section for the first time, into the loop at turn 4 and turn 5, down the Wellington straight. That DRS opens right now. You hear the beep as the driver presses the button, and down towards the turn 6 at Brooklands. And he's gone a little bit quicker, 15 thousandths of a second into a long right-hander, and the apex comes very late on the exit of Woodcote, and you use as much runoff area as you can to give you a decent blast down towards Copse. And it's very easy to run out very wide here, so you want to turn in tight, a little lift as you hear, and nicely onto the rumble strips on the exit of Copse Corner. Now turn 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 10 to 14, coming very quickly, getting slower and slower, much like you see at the Circuit of the Americas as you go on through the corners. It gets slower and slower, but then it's a long blast down the hanger straight down towards Stowe. And this is another corner. Take a lot of the inside curb and use a lot of the exit curb, and that gives you a decent run down to Club Corner for the final 2 corners, Club 1 and Club 2, turn 17 and turn 18 to come across the line. Andre in 11th position. Can he improve on the time? He does, but not enough to get inside the top 10.
Just right on board with Hercules again. I promise I am keeping an eye on other people. Hercules is out on another flying lap. Just 2 minutes left on the clock. So imagine this will be his last attempt to try and break at least into that top 3. Hercules is 2.5 tenths up and has set a purple second sector. So Hercules is absolutely flying right now round Stowe Corner. He's got to nail this now. He's going to, imagine, not be far off Eltink's time if he can nail this properly. He does have a Williams in front, I believe, but doesn't going to affect him. Here he comes around Club Corner. What can he set? Hercules across the line. Oh, so close. A 1:26.254. Wow, there is only 7 thousandths of a second separating him and first place.
Blink and you'll miss it on the videotape between those 2 laps, and we'll see what CRG Game can do on his 3rd and final flying lap. He's currently sitting in 3rd place on 1:26.387. He's seen Hercules just overtake him and move up into 2nd place, whilst Eltink is now on an out lap, ready to set his final flyer. So Gamer on his final push lap, what can he do? Can he get back onto the top step heading down into the race session? And of course, with heavy rain expected, you want to get yourself as far forward as possible so you're not compromised by any sprays. Going quicker, it That's a 77 thousandths of a second improvement, and that's going to push him in towards the, if he can improve in this third sector, it's going to get him right up to the thick of it, of challenging for Eltic. We've got 30 seconds left to go in the session. Pressure is on for Gamer in the final two corners. Can he improve in the run? He comes across the line, and Gamer goes into pole position. It's a 26.101. Absolutely blitzes that last sector and makes up a tenth of a second. Now it's all up to Eltink and Sab. We've got Scott and Eltink on a lap. Can they do anything about that mega lap from CLG Gamer?
You'd imagine Eltink is pretty handy with a hot lap around any circuit. I'm just keeping an eye on Harry. Harry's crossed the line and goes ahead of his teammate Scott with a 1:26.3. Scott not far behind now. He's coming up to club corner now. What can the... I thought he'd lost the Williams then. That's going to lose him a heat load of time. And I can't imagine he's going to improve. No, he doesn't improve. Unfortunately for Scott, he was all out of shape going through club corner and had to bail on the throttle. And unfortunately for Scott, that leaves him in P5 behind his teammate. But I imagine Scott would be slightly frustrated with that, wouldn't he? Because it looked like he was going to at least match his teammate for time. So P5 in there, not bad for him because he struggled somewhat recently, but there will be some frustration in that helmet, I imagine.
Eltink's about to do a mega lap and takes pole position with a 1:25.994. Smashes his way into the 1:25s, and you could see the time coming down and down. He had a huge chunk of time made up in the second sector. We've got Nathan on the lap. He's improving, but what a lap from the Racing Point driver, once again showing his one lap pace and getting himself up into pole position. What can Nathan do in the Mercedes? In 8th position, he finishes 8th. We've got Foxy going a quarter of a second faster, so that's going to roughly put him up a couple of places if he can hold on to this. Can he get into the top 6? He does, up into the top 6. Great qualifying session for him, and that's qualifying done and dusted. And I said that I thought the 1:25s may be the destination for pole position, and it's MNT Eltink that gets himself there. So the two MNT drivers in first and third. So it's a good night for them. Gamer on the front row of the grid once again. So another decent qualifying for him after a bit of a shaky one last week in Singapore, which only saw him start in 5th position. But yeah, that's much better form from him. But Eltink, what a lap from him.
Oh, unbelievable. He's done it quite often this season, hasn't he, in IRL F1, and he's done it again tonight. He's definitely the man to watch when it comes to qualifying. Absolutely superb. And you pointed out Gamer on the front row. The pressure now is really on Harry because he's going to have to get a good start early on. He'll be in P4 for the start of this race. Anything can happen with these wet conditions, but he's going to have to really get a move on if he's going to challenge Gamer.
Over a tenth of a second. MNT Eltink in the Racing Point with 1:25.994 ahead of the man that's looking to seal the championship tonight, CLG Gamer 62. Hercules in third position with Harry starting behind his title rival. Scott Bugner, good qualifying session from him in 5th. Foxy Red in 6th. Sam in 7th. Fountain in the top 8. Nathan top 9. Charlie makes it 10th, and then TL44S, Andre, Scopefielder and Cliffy, without setting a lap, is down in 14th. So back to Cliffy starting towards the field. So, but watch out for the Racing Point, who had what seems like a bit of a torrid session. He was almost 4 seconds slower than the pole sitter. So there is that heavy rain coming down. So
wow.
You can already see a little bit of blue sky breaking through the clouds. So don't expect it to stick with us too long. We know that the rain will be dissipating and falling away as the rain goes on. But yeah, Cliffy fighting through the field once again.
Yeah, you'd be a fool not to keep an eye on him, wouldn't you, in the race? He's often fighting his way through, giving us great overtaking. But as you say, that blue sky will be giving some people hope that we might only have this for a shorter period of time in the race. It might end earlier than they'd want to hope for, I should say. But that rain is really going to throw a spanner in the works for everybody here, because Gamer's going to want to try and get away cleanly. He knows Eltink. He's super aggressive, isn't he, in his defending and the way he fights for leads, and we've seen it often before, fighting with the likes of Hercules at the front. So Eltink will be wanting to try and keep hold of his first place, but Gamer doesn't want to compromise himself too much trying to battle for this first place, does he? Because he gets tripped up quite early on, finds himself in the gravel or spun around. Suddenly this race is all against him, so the pressure's there now with this weather, because he'll be having the likes of Hercules and Harry and Scott behind as well trying to put pressure on, so this isn't going to be an easy start for Gamer.
No, absolutely not. And as you say, Eltink is one of those drivers that does like to get his elbows out when it comes to defending. And equally, we've seen some cracking racing from him and from Gamer and from Hercules in the last few rounds. So those three were really going at it in Singapore last week, especially in the rain-affected race. So expect to see some fireworks hopefully in this first stint of the race, where we're expecting to see the heavy rain, and we can see, and we'll go to the tyres, and you can see everyone on the extreme wet. So it'll be fascinating to see if we get someone trying to stick out on the extreme wets until it gets to the dries, or do we go extreme wet to the inters and then to the dries later on in the race. Of course, this heavy rain will make aquaplaning pretty standard for most of these drivers. That will, of course, everyone here on a Monday night not running any assists, so all these drivers will have to be feathering that throttle, being careful to that brake pedal, because no ABS to help you slow down for any of these corners. So aquaplaning is going to be a real threat for these drivers, and in fact with the rain it does give me another good 2 weeks in a row, Sab. I get to use my fantastic stat about the rain tyres. And of course, as I go on to it, the full extreme wets, which of course these drivers are using tonight, will shift at full speed, 300 kilometers an hour, around about 186 miles an hour. You find that on the Wellington Straight and on the Hanging Straight, will shift 85 litres of water a second. When they go onto the intermediates, and if they go onto the intermediates, they'll disperse 30 litres of water a second. So I'm coming at you with stats from the stratosphere, and it's gonna be a mega race here. The final, the penultimate race of the season. Of course, next week is going to be the final one in Monaco. When we go to the dry tyres, if we go to the dries, of course, the hard tyres are the C1s, the mediums are the C2s, and the softs are the C3s. Tyre wear can be a little bit tricky around here, depending on what tyres you're on, so watch out for what drivers do, whether they take the risk, as we saw last week, to be a little bit more aggressive on those tyres. Danger points, watch out for the first corner, especially in this rain. It's very easy to hook a tyre of the car in front or car behind, with it being a medium speed corner, especially at the start. Cops flat out. Passing can be done there, but both drivers have got to be aware of each other. Track extending penalties, Maggots, Beckett's and Stowe. Plenty of action tonight, as you can see the 15 cars peeling into their grid slots. The engine notes rising as we're getting ready to start round 11, the IRL F1 League here at Silverstone. We've got 5 red lights. Pause, out and off. Who's got the best start? It looks as though Eltink's got a decent start. Gamer alongside him's already got the inside line into the corner. Will the Renault driver sweep around into the lead? Eltink trying to hang it around the outside, and they're going to go side by side down through into the third corner. Gamer's the inside line. Can he get ahead of the Racing Point? There's a little bit of contact between the two. Eltink just holding on to it. Behind, it looks as though everyone's got away relatively easy free. The man on the move is Harry into third position. Great start from him. He's got himself behind Gamer, which is exactly where he needs to be.
It was a perfect start for Harry. Hercules, I think, just got under a bit of pressure and just lost out. I didn't quite see what happened to Hercules, but Harry getting the move done early on and exactly now where he needs to be. He needs to be in position to try and tackle Gamer and try and take him on. We've seen a good start. Oh, White Fountain and Cliffy have tagged, and Cliffy is now off the track, and Cliffy's in to the grass, but fortunately for Cliffy, he's managed to get rescued and he's now back on the track, luckily for himself, not losing too much time there. And Cliffy I didn't quite see what happened, but like you mentioned early on, the wheels getting tangled up and it just forced Cliffy onto the grass there. White Fountain unfortunately had a poor start, down 4 places as Burmeister Burmeister is off the track. Burmeister is off the track and into the gravel. I don't know what's happened there, but he's off the track with a 3-second time penalty.
As Gamer thinks about sending it down the inside, is he going to compromise himself on exit? We've got yellow in Sector 2 and Sector 3. Harry is just following that red flashing light and the rear gearbox of the Renault in front, because you can see the visibility is so poor in this early stages. And like I said, Eltink in the prime position, not being affected by any of this spray. He comes across the line, holds on to position behind. You can see Scott trying to look to the inside of Hercules. So Hercules, after a slow getaway, losing the position to Harry, seems to be getting back on the pace. These guys now getting into a position where the tyres are starting to warm up and grip to the surface a little bit better than they were on the start. But what have we got throughout the field? We've got gaps relatively similar, only 1.3 seconds between Charlie, who seems to have been caught in an instant. He's down in 9th position, split by the two Mercedes as Cliffy clears Scopefielder for 13th position. MNT Eltink, so many letters in this name, is currently already 1.1 second up the road from Gamer. So yeah, great start from the Racing Point driver. We saw him last week in the rain that he struggled initially, but then came back early on, as Burmeister is already exceeding the majority of the circuit. So the Ferrari driver, not having the greatest of starts, was only managed to join us for the race session. Couldn't make qualifying, but he's down in 15th position, not having the best times whatsoever. Behind, you can see, or just listen to the engines, how much they're really feathering that throttle and just lifting and coasting through Maggots and Beckett's Sab. So you've got to think these drivers are really going to be struggling in these conditions.
They are indeed. I do not envy them at all, as Cliffy gets past White Fountain. White Fountain's just not having any fun out there, it seems, this evening. He's down 5 places already at this early stage. I'm just keeping an eye on White Fountain's teammate Sam, and he's right behind this battle with Foxy, Scott and Hercules. But riding on board with Sam, the conditions are absolutely atrocious. Like you were saying earlier about that red blinking light, it's all you can see riding on board, and he's got to have faith in Foxy that he's going to brake exactly where he expects him to brake, and he can pick his moments to try and stick with these cars, because at the moment the vision is near on impossible for these guys, and they've just got to try and keep it on the track the best they can. And the moment Foxy Red is doing well, he's keeping tabs on the Williams driver Scott, and Scott slightly falling away now from Hercules in 4th.
Yep, and Hercules is closing in on Harry. You can see the gaps between the leading drivers around about the 1.5 second mark for the top 3, as Charlie, it looks as though he's been caught out by a couple of drivers. I was wondering to see if he had wing damage, because he was starting to fall back a little bit, but the McLaren driver, as Burmeister, unfortunately picks up another penalty. But it looks as though he's still got all end plates on that McLaren, so possibly just struggling a little bit for pace early on in a McLaren, as Bud does retire from the session. Ahead, Cliffy and TL44S going side by side in the rain into Maggots and Beckett's, and that's fantastic racing between the pair of them. Very brave indeed. Cliffy, as we were expecting, on the charge. He's now up to 10th position. TL44S drops down to 11th, and he's now got Charlie Scopefielder and White Fountain. Fountain, unfortunately, falling back to the back of the order after such a good qualifying session. Charlie is looking to go around the outside of the Mercedes into Stowe, and that would be a bold move off the racing line. You can see he's had to take to the runoff area. Will the McLaren driver think any better of it? No, he's going to stick behind the Mercedes for this portion of the circuit. And yeah, it's been a decent start to the race, Sab. You've got Eltink 1.6 seconds up the road, so seemingly enjoying the conditions a little bit more than Gamer, who's always said that he's maybe a little bit more tentative in the rain than he is in the dry.
Yeah, definitely. But one thing I think will help Gamer, I imagine, is he knows second place will win him the championship. And if he's 1.7 seconds off of Eltink, he's not going to get as much spray in his face, is he? Unless he was tucked up behind the rear wing of that racing point. So at the moment, he's sitting in really good place. He's got a 1.7 second lead over his rival, Harry, in 3rd. So right now, he hasn't got the really bad visibility of what, say, Sam's got tucked up behind Foxy in 7th place. So at the moment, it's looking really good for Gamer right now. He just needs to keep it clean, keep it on the track. And if he stays where he is right now, by the end of the race, the championship will be his.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best place for him to be. Of course, he doesn't even need to win the race tonight. He just needs to finish in 8th place or higher, regardless of Harry's result. Harry can win the race, and even if Gamer picks up 3 points, then he would win the race on count. I've got yellow in sector 2, and we'll see if anyone's losing any time. It's cleared pretty quickly, as Hercules still trying to close in on Harry. The gap's maintaining itself around about 4.5 tenths, so Harry just about holding on to this podium position, and a podium that's eluded him over the last 2 races. Of course, not had the best of luck over the last 2 weeks in Singapore and in Canada, and that's probably cost him the chance of taking the title fight to Monaco. So yeah, he's going to bemoan that of finishing off the podium, but yeah, it would be a nice way to finish the season for him with a decent result here in his home Grand Prix.
FPL Charlie and TL4 are swapping positions again, and FPL Charlie back up into 11th place now. They must have done it just at club corner, because Charlie had got the move done just before the start finish line, so it was a good move there for Charlie. Charlie now, though, 3 seconds off the top 10 already, so he's struggling out there at the moment, just riding on board with Charlie, and it just seems to be quite difficult for him out there. TL4 is still not making it easy for him, and he's staying with that McLaren in the Mercedes car about half a second, but at the moment, yeah, it's a struggle out there for the other McLaren driver.
Sam is swarming around the back of that Alfa Romeo Foxy Red 2000, trying to find a way past. We've got yellow in sector 2. It looks as though Cliffy's falling through the order, so the Racing Point driver had started so well is now falling back down the pack as Sam tries to think about the move into Copse Corner, but thinks better of it. And in these conditions, you've got to think that's probably the smarter move. This rain intensity has dramatically fallen off, so we're not under full, well, essentially not under full heavy rain conditions in the circuit. Oh, Sam gets a wiggle on the exit there. Yeah, expect to possibly see these guys dive into the pit lane in the next few laps, maybe for some intermediate tyres that are very versatile tyre. They work very nicely as into the pit lane with a penalty. As I was saying earlier, does come Eltink. It's very easy to just take too much speed in there, and unfortunately for the race leader, it's another mistake.
Yeah, unfortunately. So you called it about coming into the pits, and as you can see, everybody pretty much coming to the pits. Unfortunately for Scott, because he was quite close to his teammate, Scott's had to go on for another lap because he didn't want to obviously double stack in the pits. So Scott having to go on for another lap. Hopefully these blue wet tyres will last one more lap for him. FPL Charlie also staying out there. So is Scopefielder and White Fountain. The rest have all come into the pits. So yeah, that is a disaster, really, isn't it, for Eltink there? He was driving so superbly, and to pick up that penalty is really going to hurt him later on. Hopefully, for his sake, he can build up a lead in the race that penalty won't affect, but that's really going to put the pressure on him now, because Gamer wasn't too far away. It's now 2.4 seconds, so Gamer somewhere in there has lost some time, but not too much.
Unfortunately for Harry, the downside of being in the Williams, although you get a quick run to the exit, is that when cars are going past, you have to wait, and one of the cars he had to wait for was MNT Hercules, and Hercules has managed to jump him in that pit stop. So the German driver gets himself up into what is a net 3rd place now, behind Gamer and Eltink. So Racing Point, Renault, McLaren, and then the Williams, with Foxy Red holding position ahead of Sam, Nathan, Andre, TL4S and Cliffy all dived in for the intermediate tyres. So expect to see those guys running in the top 4 currently to come in this lap, with, of course, not wanting to double stack, with Scott with Harry coming in, Charlie with Hercules, of course Foxy Red with Scopefielder, and Sam with Fountain, not wanting to get caught out by losing any more time than necessary with that double stack.
Definitely, I was keeping an eye on Scott, and he was running offline trying to find as much wet part of the track as possible. He was finding it really tricky. So these conditions have definitely gone to intermediate conditions now. You can see the visible line on the track now as Harry is trying to close up on Hercules. He'd be very frustrated, won't he, knowing he's lost that place through the pit stop phase, totally out of his hands there. Nothing he could have done about it, and now he's going to have to really put the pressure on the McLaren driver to try and force his way back. But at the moment, he's just hovering around the second mark, so Hercules is just got him comfortable at the moment. He's going to have his work cut out, isn't he, Harry, to try and get this position back from Hercules?
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see the drivers that had to do that extra lap on the extreme wets have really lost out. Scott dropping down to 8th place now behind Nathan. So the second Williams driver, unfortunately, getting caught out with, of course, the number 1 driver getting team priority, and of course that's the man chasing the championship, Harry. So Scott, not one to be deterred from a challenge, is now going to have to fight back. And what's the benefit from this? Well, we've got 1 lap fresher tyres on the intermediate, so I'd use them to good effect if I were you before we go to the dries and try and get them up to temperature as quick as possible, get back past that Mercedes driver and chase after Sam Vapito, a man that these two they know very well off and on track. So Scott, he's going to be on a bit of a charge. Let's see what the Williams driver can do. Up ahead, we've got gaps less than a second between as Charlie picks up 3 seconds. Sam and Foxy Red once again are re-engaging their battle over 5th and 6th position. Eltink 2.5 seconds he's managed to gain in this intermediate phase. Hercules 3.5 back from Gamer. So the top 3 split quite decently at the moment, not having to worry about defending.
Yeah, it's worked out nicely for Elting, as it the pit stop phase as Elting goes quickest with a quick lap there of 1:41.044. But I just wanted to point out it's been a good race so far for our 2 new drivers. Mr. Nathan Sixth running nicely in 7th place in his Mercedes, just 1.5 seconds behind Sam in 6th, and Andre O, he's in 9th place running all right as well, a good 4.5 seconds ahead of TL4 Rest in 10th. So both the new drivers running nicely in the top 10 at the moment, and they'll be enjoying the fact that they can battle like this, and hopefully for their sakes they can stay in the top 10 and show that they've got something about them in this league.
Yeah, absolutely. As Sam getting within half a second of Foxy Red, not quite close enough to get a move done. Of course, in these intermediate conditions, it's much trickier to really send it, make that move that maybe catches out your opponent on track. Of course, these guys having to watch how much pressure they put down on that brake pedal. You can see he's still within half a second, and that's the closest battle we've got on track. And I'd expect to see, if we go dry later in the race, we're only on lap 8 of 26 here at Silverstone, that these gaps will start to close up, as you can see the drivers that maybe don't have that pace in the wet that probably do in the dry. So we'll see who's got the differing pace, who's the rain master here, and equally who likes it hot. And Sam in with a pink helmet up against that black and gold car. It's always a nice contrast there. And he seems to have a little bit more pace than Foxy Red, but just not quite close enough to get a move done. Just going back up to the man currently sitting in 2nd position, CRG Gamer 62, of course, the man looking on to win the championship this week. And as we've got a couple of penalties rolling in there, you see at the bottom of the screen, TL4S, one of the ones that's just picked up 3 seconds, as we're around about a third of the way through the Grand Prix. We just had a quick word with Gamer and just found out what he was thinking going into this race. And after returning from a couple of seasons out, we asked him what he thought about the competition, had it stepped up from his previous time here at IRL, and he was really complimentary, saying that he wasn't expecting to see so many drivers really take the challenge to him, and all trying to not come across as that he's running away with the championship, because it's really not been the case. It's only in the last races that Harry's kind of fallen to the wayside with a couple of bad results. That he's enjoyed it, and he's had great fun battling with a lot of drivers on track that he'd not raced with before, and he equally had some very kind words to say to Harry, that he enjoyed battles they had with the likes of Abu Dhabi and in Hungary, and he said 2 of the most intense races that he's had here. And he's really enjoyed the fight with the Williams driver, and equally we spoke with Harry, and he was saying that if Gamer is the champion, then he's clearly the worthy one, and that he's been incredible. His consistency, raw pace has been ruthless this season, and he's really helped, much like we saw with Hercules. When you see faster drivers come in, it helps you step up to that next level, as we see Sam still closing in on Foxy. But yeah, with faster drivers coming in, like we've seen with CRG Gamer, it's really helped Harry kind of make that next step up, hasn't it?
It really has, and all credit to Harry. I have to say, if he doesn't go on to snatch the championship from Gamer, then I don't think he could be too disheartened personally. I think he's had a great season overall. A few disappointing races, which ultimately have helped Gamer along the way, but overall I think Harry's had a superb season. He's been very quick. He's shown he's been able to fight with the likes of Hercules and Gamer at times, and he's really proven himself this season to really fight at the very front, and it's sure to bring him confidence going into the new game, into the new season, next season, that he can really challenge for this championship and fight with the guys at the front, because I think another time Harry in another season might have won this championship, but unfortunately because of the level of competition in this league, it just shows you, doesn't it, you have one or two races off your pace and you can find yourself really way off the title fight. So I'm sure going into next season Harry will be even more eager and even more competitive to try and snatch that title off of Gamer and really give it to Hercules and whoever else challenges onto the new game. So yeah, overall I'd say Harry's had a very good season, and it is disappointing to come home in second overall if he was to do that, but he can't be too disheartened. Gamer is a very, very good driver and he's been very consistent this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you just have to accept that the better man has won, and Harry, like you say, has had a spectacular season, better than I'm sure that he'd even imagine. As Elton goes even faster, 140 flat on the intermediate tyres. You see the track is getting quicker and quicker as the rain starts to stop. But yeah, I did tell him the other day that he's going to have as Scott gets a huge slide on the exit of the final corner, manages to hold on to the car, but yeah, it's going to be unfortunate for Harry because he might potentially go down as the driver that's picked up the most amount of points and not actually won the championship, so the highest point runner-up, and that's a title that no one really wants. I think it's held currently by Mike from Formula 3 a few seasons ago. So yeah, Harry might be taking home that unwanted record, and a record that Gamer will be potentially looking at this evening is breaking that record win in a season mark, and it's currently held by Hercules for 6 wins that he took home last season. Gamer currently has 6 so far this season: Japan, Belgium, Germany, Brazil, Italy, and of course in Canada. Now he's got one more race, of course, missing Monaco next week, so he's got tonight to make it 7. So he's got 3.5 seconds between himself and Eltink. Can he overhaul the Racing Point driver, who of course has got that 5-second penalty to his name, and take home that 7th win on the season, and really put a staple in what has been a fantastic return to the series for him?
Yeah, it really has, and you talk about that unwanted record of Harry's, it just shows you, doesn't it, like we said, the level of competition, that you can score that many points and still not win a championship. It just shows you that extra little bit you need to have to win a championship, and I'm sure, like I say, Harry will come back fighting even harder. And I'm just riding on board with Foxy Red. Harry has got all sorts of pressure on him right now because he's fallen way off of Hercules now, 3 seconds off Hercules, and he's under severe pressure now from Foxy Red in the Alfa Romeo. Foxy Red is also bringing along with him Sam Pepito and Mr. Nathan 6, with Scott not too far behind as well. So Harry not really enjoying these mixed intermediate conditions at the moment. The track is looking a lot drier than it was a few laps ago, but Harry really is struggling there. It's gone up to 3.3 seconds now behind Hercules, and Foxy Red just about half a second off the Williams driver, so Harry will be under some pressure in the next few laps, as I can see just a few blue patches of sky in the air, so maybe in the next few laps or so we might start to see a bit more drying track around here.
As Cliffy slaps himself with 3 seconds on lap 12 of 26. Plenty more racing left to go here, round 11, the IRL F1 League here from Silverstone in Great Britain. And we'll see as always, Mr. Nathan looking low. He got on the curb on the inside of Copse and almost got the car from underneath him. You can see these cars almost drifting their way around Maggots and Beckett's. It looks spectacular in these conditions. But yeah, Harry, as you were saying, maybe not enjoying the intermediates as much as he was in the full wets, because in the full wets, of course, he was keeping Hercules behind him, and he's kind of really giving away time really corner for corner to the German driver that's now starting to move his way up as Elting does another fastest lap, beats his previous one by 7 thousandths of a second. So yeah, nice and consistent for the man currently leading the race, but the gap isn't really increasing. It's still 3.4 seconds between himself and Gamer in second position. Hercules in third, 5.6 seconds back. So these drivers looks like they're holding forward at the moment and looking for that sun to pull out as Charlie picks up another time penalty, another 3 seconds for him. He's down in 11th place. But yeah, these drivers possibly holding out for a dry period where they can really put the hammer down.
Yeah, definitely. You've got Foxy now really putting the pressure on Harry, but the problem is these conditions just can't really do anything a bit more brave, can you? A bit more riskier in these conditions, because you can find yourself clattering into the car ahead and suddenly wiping yourself and them out. So you have to be a bit more careful around here when these conditions are like this. So they'll be hoping for the dry conditions as soon as possible. Harry will be a bit thankful, I imagine, that these conditions are out at the moment, because there's no DRS, so Foxy won't be able to use that to his advantage. So at the moment, Harry just has to keep it clean at the moment. He'll be able to keep Foxy down, but Harry just keeps losing time after time, lap upon lap over Hercules. 3.6 seconds now, and he's got quite a few cars now. As Foxy Red, did he try and move? I saw a position change there. Foxy Red and Harry changed positions. I didn't quite see what happened there.
No, I moved off screen. I was just checking in with Cliffy and Charlie, but yeah, I saw a position change, but come back and it's still half a second. So yeah, we'll
it's
see.
A bit strange.
Perhaps Harry went off and it caught up, but we'll find out. I'm sure we'll find out after the race what happens. You can see the McLaren flashing by, and here comes the Williams, the Alfa Romeo, and the Haas. 1, 2, 3 before the Mercedes and the second Williams go across the start-finish line to start their 14th lap. We're over 50% of the way through this race, and yeah, welcome to everyone joining us. Great to have you here and chatting. And boys, honestly, Rymac enjoying himself as usual in the comments, just watching some of these guys make their way around the circuit. And of course, everyone that's going to be joining us for the Realistic Performance League tomorrow night with Tim and Malc in the commentary box for the their penultimate race of the season. Sam Pepito, the man that's looking likely to win that championship, can Scopefielder, who's currently in 13th position, reel him in, and equally F2. The championship was wrapped up by Jacob last week in Singapore, and F3, the championship can go down to the final race, but it's up to Luke Bailey. Can he reel in Craig? Craig looking as though he may be able to take the championship here, his home race. Although he's a Scot, we'll give him Great Britain as a home race. But yeah, we'll see if he can hold on to it and make it another Renault Constructors win, which would make it. Potentially with gamers stealing it tonight, F1, F2 and F3, and of course the Xbox League on Sunday. They started their race, or they started the week off here at Silverstone, and the Renault driver DXTHK can potentially wrap up the title there, so it could be a Renault sweep. So watch out for plenty more going on as Elting goes does another fastest lap, a 39.986. So he goes just about half a tenth faster. So yes, some really consistent laps from him, although Gamer now only 3.1 seconds behind, so that gap between himself and the Renault driver is now starting to fall.
It is. That's what I was just about to point out. I believe the top two have now just started to really put the hammer down, because Hercules is now 7.7 seconds behind the top two. So Hercules has really fallen off the pace of the front two here, not enjoying these conditions, I imagine. But yeah, Gamer just losing a bit of time there. It's back up to 3.3 seconds, but he's really trying to keep onto the back of Elting, as Mr. Nathan Six picks up his first time penalty of the 3.3 second time penalty. But yeah, there's a real gaggle of cars now battling it over fourth place. It's a massive Williams sandwich right now. You've got Harry at the front and Scott Bugner just at the back, squeezing in a nice slice of Foxy Red, Sam and Mr. Nathan in between. And if we had some dry conditions right now, you'd imagine there'd be some really close racing with some DRS thrown in there as well. But at the moment, we still don't have dry conditions. The rain is still falling, even though we are starting to see the sun starting to slightly come through the clouds. And I can't imagine we're going to get dry conditions. If we are, maybe towards the very end of this race, but at the moment with the rain still falling, it looks very likely we're going to stay like this.
Yep, as you can see, several drivers just peeling on to the wetter part of the track, just cooling the tyres down and cooling the brakes down a little bit, getting off of the drying line as they're caught behind the car in front, and perhaps just trying to get a little bit more into those tyres and utilise the wet on these intermediates as the drying line does start to form. Of course, yeah, as you said, the rain is still falling, so what, with 10 and a half laps left to go, it's going to be tricky to see if we do go to dries. As it was predicted we were meant to go to dries, but it would be right at the end of the race, and I'm sure Harry will probably hope that we do stay, as TL4 for S picks up 3 seconds. Harry will probably hope we do stay under intermediates, because it's harder for his compatriots and his rivals behind him to make a move on him in the wet conditions. However, Sam Pipito is closing in on Foxy Red, as he has been for the majority of this race, but sliding his way into Brooklands. And yeah, so these guys kind of just, as I said, holding station, not being able to make any particular moves. Behind, we've got Charlie and Cliffy dueling it out for 11th and 12th position.
Just behind Sam, Scott Bugner into Vale made a nice move on Mr. Nathan Six for 7th place. Scott Bugner getting the move done around the outside, then into club was nicely done there, cleanly done from Scott, and he's now onto the back of Sam. Mr. Nathan still hanging on in there, just about 8/10 behind Scott. So Scott showing us that positions can be made, positions can be changed. Just got to sometimes show a bit more bravery, or maybe even get a gift. But at the moment, Scott now probably finding out that the next few cars ahead might be a bit more trickier to pass.
Yeah, I know. We've got Scott and Sam on track, which is always fireworks, and we always can't wait for this battle when we see it. And you can see Scott, who knows Silverstone very well indeed. Of course, races his cars in around here as Charlie picks up another 3-second penalty. So Scott, no stranger to Silverstone, will be hoping of getting past the Spaniard in front. So Sam will prove a tricky task, and you can see how much Scott is having to fight the wheel to keep the car in a straight line, having to get out the throttle, and he's lost a little bit of time to the Haas in front, and then picks up 3 seconds running over the inside curb as he comes onto the Wellington Straight. Sam peeling to the inside once again, trying to get into the mirrors of Foxy Red 2000, but not able to get close enough. The gap at the front is extended back up to 3.3, 3.4 of a second. Hercules falling back 8.6 seconds. He's now fallen back from Elting. As Scott is somehow pointing in the right direction still. He's been this car has been at a 45-degree angle for the majority of this race as he goes onto the entry curb at Copse Corner. Very brave, because that would be incredibly slippery in these conditions, but once again holds on to the position. And yeah, just enough time. We'll just quickly checking, because Foxy Red is probably the closest he's been to Harry for a number of laps, but we'll as soon as we've got round Stowe, we'll just give you a heads up on what's going on, as I said, for the rest of the week. So as we go into Stowe, and Foxy Red doesn't make the move. So yeah, Tuesday is the Realistic Performance League with Tim and Malc in the commentary box. Equal Performance F2 and F3 on a Wednesday, and of course Xbox Equal Performance on Sunday. And we've got our PS4 leagues on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all streamed here on YouTube at 8 PM. And of course Xbox stream live on twitch.tv 9:30 PM as into the pit lane comes TL44S. So he drops out of the top 10. Foxy Red now all over the back of Harry and really starting to be held up by the Williams driver. In fact, just giving him a little tap saying, come on son, let's keep going. And that's going to close this field right up, because Scott and Sam are coming with him. Fountain picks up a time penalty as TL44S onto the soft tyres. Do you want to keep a tabs on that, because it seems very early to dip onto the softs?
Yeah, I am keeping tabs on it. And down at the pit lane here right now, it's not raining. It's not raining at all. Scopefielder has also done the same. He's come in for a set of softs. So right now, around this part of the track, there's not a single drop of rain. The track might be probably still damp, but this is probably worth a gamble, is it not? If it works out for him, Nick Owens, TL4S already very deep there as he's going into the loop now. He's finding it very tricky as the car really won't stick to that track for very long at all. But if he can keep it going, get these tyres up to temperature, then suddenly he could find himself making up a few positions here. So the front running guys are going to be keeping a very close eye on TL4S and Scopefielder now as they're trying to battle this track on soft tyres.
Yeah, as you can see, these soft tyres, as Scott thinks about moving to Sam, but once Sam closes the door and it's not there, and I'm sure Sam would have been shaking thinking Scott was going to send it up the inside into Stowe. Very late on the brakes for the Williams driver. Into the pit lane does come Foxy, so does Foxy make the move onto the soft rubber? We've got 6 laps left to go in the race, and it looks as though surely he's going to dip in and take the risk. He was in a decent points paying position, but is he going for an undercut? But there's still a lot of spray coming off these tyres. It's going to be a brave move if we do see him onto a new set of soft rubber. He does. So Foxy Red, out of a decent points paying position, making a bold move. You can see just how much spray is still being kicked up, even on the drying line for these drivers up ahead. But obviously thought that the intermediates was starting to come out of that working window, and that's just opened the door for Scott to get even closer to Sam and start to hound him, and Sam's now going to go from looking in front of him to looking behind him, because with no Alfa Romeo to attack, he's now going to have the second Williams to contend with. And Scott, as I said, likes Silverstone and is well known to it, so yeah, we'll see what he can do. We'll see if anyone else dives into the pit lane. White Fountain is back in after that one lap. Has just come in for the soft rubber, so he's onto the this drying tyre. But these red-walled soft tyres, they need to get up to a working temperature of around about 90 to 100 degrees. So as soon as you go out onto a wet surface, all of that tyre life and that tyre temperature just falls away, no matter what temperature they came out of the warmers for.
Foxy Red almost lost it on the old pit straight there, and I'm keeping an eye on the guys at the back on these soft tyres, and it's just not working for them. Some parts of the track they look comfortable on, other parts they're having to really tiptoe around the corner just to get the car around, and you can see in certain corners the spray is still kicking up. So I think this was probably too early for him, even for Foxy. I think it was too early for him. He's just looking like a bit fragile at the moment. He's 22 seconds behind Cliffy in 10th place now, so if the track suddenly were to get dry now, Cliffy, we imagine, would be very close to jumping, if not jumping Foxy for position, as Foxy goes into Vale and he's all out of shape there and just about hangs on to it. These conditions are definitely not soft tyre conditions. He's already lost 3 seconds there just as I was speaking to Cliffy. Now 4 seconds. It's up to 26 seconds now, so these soft tyres really aren't working at all. That flat first turn is not flat at all. He's dropping it couple of gears just to make sure the car gets round. So unfortunately for Foxy, this gamble has not paid off.
Sam really starting to pressure the rear end of Harry BR25 for 4th position on circuit. Scott is just fallen back a little bit, so he's going to try and help his teammate by getting in the mirrors of the Haas driver, but the Haas looking in prime position to get in a decent tow of that Williams down the hangar straight, and we'll see you can see he's up into, he's dropped it down into none as he's recovering energy in the final sector, but he was running up in overtake mode there, so he is on the attack now. And will we see anyone else make that bold move? It looks as though with DRS not enabled yet, that it's just a little bit too early for these guys that maybe made that bold move onto the soft rubber. Although as I say that, into the box comes Scott. So perhaps wanting to get an undercut on the likes of Sam and perhaps even his teammate. There's still a lot of spray coming from these tyres, but obviously the drivers in the cockpit can feel something different.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced. Foxy Red is still losing time hand over fist now. It's 37 seconds off 10th place, which is significantly more than when I last spoke to you. Just keeping an eye further on, Cliffy and Charlie having a good old battle for 7th place right now. Cliffy trying to get round the outside at Stowe, and unfortunately for Cliffy, unable to get the move done. Charlie with his elbows out. You know how good Charlie's with his elbows out. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. I don't see what that is for. as the yellow flag is quickly moved away. We had Andre as well come in for a set of softs, and he's just come out and also finding it very tough out there. Scott now on those soft tyres. Be interested to see if he can make anything of it, but as you can see, Foxy Red has lost out massively, look, because Foxy now behind Andre and Scott, and significantly far behind as well, a good 10 seconds behind Andre, so this plan has really not worked, and I don't believe it's really working for Scott either. He seems to be still struggling out there on those soft tyres.
Here comes Sam to the outside of Harry into Stowe. He's going to have to go round the long way if he's going to get the move done. He thinks better of it, but can he get a better turn in and get a good run in towards Club Corner on the man currently second in the championship? Will he send it up the inside? No, they're both into the pit lane. Can he get it slowed down in time? Harry sliding his way in, but manages to get it slowed down. You see everyone else into the box apart from Gamer. Gamer sticking it out there. Now he was 1.9 seconds away. He'd made up a second and a half on Eltink. But once again, is he out there on the tyre that's not optimum for the track conditions? We saw last week that he got caught out right at the last minute on the wrong tyre, and you can see the track almost looks dry. There's still a little bit of spray emanating from the back of the Renault, but will he be able to get the advantage of being on the grippier tyre? Of course, knowing that the likes of Eltink and Hercules will be trying to get these tyres up to temperature as soon as possible, but this is going to be a fascinating watch, because Gamer, this is a make or break for this race if he's going to take the win, because with Hercules in as well, Hercules can potentially, if the tyres do go off in this third sector, can start to reel back in that sort of 8-second deficit that he had to the Renault driver. But you can see blue skies are breaking through the clouds, but Gamer seemingly not. There you go. DRS is enabled this lap, so this is the crossover point. So we'll see, has Gamer lost any time over this lap? You can see it's a 30-second difference between himself and the second place man. Cliffy stayed out there on the intermediate tyres, so surely Gamer will dive as he does into the pit lane. Can he get it slowed down? In fact, he slows down much earlier, not taking any risks whatsoever. But Eltink is coming through the iconic Maggots and Beckett's complex into the hangar straight, and he's going to have to, of course, it's one of the longest pit lanes in F1 and one of the slowest times you spend in, or one of the longest times you spend in the pit lane. So yeah, this is a big moment for Gamer, and in fact it looks as though I'm sure it looks as though he's going to get, by the looks of it, I'm trying to think of it, he's going to have a huge lead. So surely the intermediate tyres, that one extra lap has been the best decision, because Eltink is only coming across the line now. Gamer's exiting the pit lane, and is almost as he kicks the rear end out, lights the tyres up, he's going to come around the line, and the Racing Point is going to see that Renault flash in front of him, and it's been a master stroke from the Renault driver, who's managed to overhaul not only a 3.5 second deficit, but get ahead of Eltink, who took just a little bit too long getting those tyres up to temperature.
I believe he had a 5-second penalty, didn't he, Eltink? Would he have had I think he might have had to also serve that penalty in the pit lane as well, which might have ended up costing him. I believe that's why he ended up a good 30 seconds behind Gamer. But what it has given us for the last 3 laps or so is a real battle now with DRS, with soft tyres just going flat out. Proper qualifying style racing from now to see what these guys do. Eltink just half a second behind Gamer, and now we're going to have a completely different style of race now. No more tiptoeing and being careful. These guys are going to be going flat out for the next 3 laps.
Yeah, this is going to be fantastic. Eltink, he's now going from being the hunted to the hunter, as Gamer's now ahead of him. He gets a slightly slower exit, and that cost him 0.3 of a second. So that's a little bit of a reprieve from Gamer as they head down Hangar Straight. So you can see the fastest laps now going to start tumbling and tumbling as the track gets drier and drier, and these guys get more confident on these dry tyres. Gamer needs to break that window, and yeah, you are completely right. Eltink would have served that 5-second penalty, which is why he was so far back. So he'll be bemoaning that run into the pit lane on the exit of when they were on the full wet stint at the start of this race, as Eltink does the fastest lap of 36.143. So he's on a charge, looking at picking up his well, what would be a pretty decent result for him. I'm just going back through the records to see if he'd actually picked up a win so far this season. I don't think he has. No, it's only a third place finish is best for him. He's been in winning positions before, so this is really pressure on for a Racing Point driver who's starting to close in on Gamer. It's only half a second now, so he's closed in that 0.3 of a second. So Eltink, it's all about consistency now, and if you're going to learn consistency, the man in front of you is the man to learn from.
Oh, most definitely. He's only half a second behind now, so the pressure will be on with DRS. Just keep an eye on Sam now. Sam, once again, putting the pressure on Harry, but this time with the aid of DRS, so Sam will have extra capabilities to try and get past that Williams driver. Harry looking like he's really struggling out there still, 10 seconds behind Hercules in third place. So Sam has a real opportunity here. FPL Charlie and Andre, it's FPL Charlie and Andre have touched, and it's spun Andre around, unfortunately for Andre, and that's dropped him down into 10th place. He should comfortably come back into the race in 10th place, because Foxford is a bit too far behind, and as we've seen a whole host of time penalties flash up there. But unfortunately for Andre, he was having a good race. He's still in the points for now, but slightly got caught out with that battle with Charlie.
Now, it was very quick, but I'm pretty sure that one of those penalties that just flashed up was for Harry. So Harry potentially picking up a 3-second time penalty there. It was mixed in with Scott picking up another one and Nathan picking up one, but I'm pretty sure that Harry just picked up a 3-second time penalty. And look where he is at the moment. He's got Sam and Scott is sitting on a couple of penalties himself. But yeah, so potentially that might promote Sam up into 4th position. I mean, it's pretty much elementary at the moment. Gamer is on for the win, and it's going to be taking home the championship, and I'm sure Sab is lining up a couple of questions to ask or is essentially our champion-elect as he's coming around on the penultimate lap. He's about to start the final lap of the race in around about 30-40 seconds time. And it's going to be a brilliant way to do it, is winning, not only to win the championship, but winning at your home race, which is what, of course, CRJ Gamer, the Brit, will be doing. And it's been a fantastic season for him. So if he does hold on to it, of course, we don't want to jinx anything. We've done it before. I'm sure we'll do it again. Is Cliffy and Charlie swap positions over 8th and 9th position, and we'll go back down through the field whilst we. Find out if Sam can close in. In fact, Sam's been jumped by Scott. Scott's now up into 5th position, so perhaps a mistake for the Haas driver has dropped him back behind second Williams, so Scott now having to play defensive. He needs to hold up Sam effectively for 3 seconds over the next lap to play team game, but across the line comes Elting. He does the fastest lap, so he steals that one away from Gamer. So Gamer, can he get the what he wants? We know he likes to pick up, as Elting picks up another time penalty. So that, I'm pretty much, is that when it comes to the race victory for Elting. Hercules has been driving on his own for the majority of the race. Scott is closing in on Harry, so we're going to get a battle for the Williams over the final lap, and Scott is really putting the pressure on his teammate. This is the last thing Harry wants, and in fact he's going to go to the outside line. Can he sweep around the outside into the arena section? Harry, he's not going to show him any room, but a great move from Scott from the outside to the inside. Harry's going to try and stick with it, but he's now going to find himself compromised from Sam, who's going to get a decent run on him down the Wellington Straight. Can Sam open up everything? He's got DRS and overtake mode. Will he try and send it down into Woodcote? He doesn't. Harry equally thinks about it, but has to back out of it, and he will know that the championship has fallen away from him. Up ahead, we've got Elting still chasing down on Gamer for the win, but it's not going to happen. He's sitting on that 3-second penalty. Gamer is going to come across the line in perfect fashion and pick up his first IRL F1 championship and his second overall title here at Invictus. And the Renault driver is going to do it in style. And in fact, he's not just going to take home the drivers. It's a wrap-up for the Constructors' Championship as well, as they steal it away from Williams, and across the line comes Gamer and wins the British Grand Prix and the IRL F1 Championship. Congratulations to him. Eltink finishes it frustrated as ever. Hercules is going to come across the line for another podium. A good recovery after missing some significant time out. Across the line comes Scott, Harry and Sam, and it's going to be, I believe, Sam that jumps up into 4th. He does. Harry into 5th, Scott into 6th. Nathan is currently in 7th position, which is a fantastic start to his time here at IRL F1. 1. Charlie is in 8th position currently. We'll see if he's hurt by the penalties. Is Cliffy looks as though he's either on a puncture or he's run out of fuel. He comes across the line and still overtakes Charlie. In fact, Foxy Red overtakes Charlie as well. So Charlie falling down the order outside of the penalties. TL44S is going to be in 12th position on track. He's way down the order behind Charlie. So he's got Fountain and Scopefielder, who unfortunately had a late issue. But those three will come across the line, I'm sure, momentarily. But Gamer62, magnificent season for him, a worthy champion.
Oh, most definitely. He's been the most consistent. He's been the fastest out of everybody most weeks. Congratulations to the game. Absolutely superb. And wrapping up the Constructors title as well. What an evening it is for Renault. What an evening it is for himself at his home Grand Prix as well. I'm sure he'll be absolutely delighted to win the title on the top step of the podium. What better way to do it, eh? You've seen drivers wrap up titles before, haven't you? When they've finished 5th, 6th or 7th and not really be able to celebrate it properly. So Gamer's done it absolutely superb. Took advantage of Eltink's unfortunate penalties and just never looked in doubt after, did he? Once he got ahead on those soft tyres, absolutely superb.
No, absolutely. You hit it right on the head there, Gamer. He's just been superb, not only today but the entire season long. And yeah, congratulations going down through the comments for him from the likes of Rymac and Sambam Kid, the man, of course, a 3-time champion here at IRL. Why not come take the fight to CRG Gamer and see if you can go toe to toe with the man that's stolen the championship away, and in fact takes the fastest lap on the last lap of the race. So yeah, he picks up 16 championship points. He's going to pick up, I believe, the biggest haul of points in championship history here in Invictus in equal performance, and he wins the race in 44 minutes and 25 seconds ahead of Elting and Hercules. Sam in 4th, Harry in 5th, Scott, Nathan, Andre, Cliffy and Foxy round out your top 10 with Charlie, TL44, Scopefielder and Fountain down out of the order, with Burmeister retiring early on in the session. But it has been a mega season, and he wraps up Drivers and Constructors Championship, and I'm sure he'll be elated with that. He gets to take himself home not only one but 2 of those incredibly sparkly championship trophies, which of course you guys can win. If you want to get involved, go to the website invictusracingleague.com, go to the apply to race section. We are of course taking applications already for F1 2020. Sign up, get yourself involved, get yourself part of the practice racing, and yeah, get yourself on the grid for F1 2020. Spaces are still available, although they are going very quickly. So yeah, get yourself involved as soon as possible. Of course, check out all the socials: Invictus RL on Twitter, Invictus Racing League on Facebook and on Instagram. And of course, make sure, if you're not already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click that button to be notified when we go live with all videos throughout the week. Of course, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, live racing here on PS4. And of course, twitch.tv on a Sunday night from 9:30 p.m. And it is uploaded to YouTube later on. So you can find plenty of racing here in Invictus throughout the week. And yeah, it's been a fantastic season, not only in IRL F1, but across the entirety of Invictus. So we thank you all for your very loyal and very well received support. It's been a fantastic season for us, and of course, if you've liked what Sab and I have brought you, make sure you press that like button. We'd love to hit 15 likes for this race, and really it's just a round of applause to the drivers who they've given us a fantastic race in conditions that were very tricky, Sab.
Oh yeah, very tricky indeed. It worked out nicely though, didn't it, for our champion? And shall I kick things off? And congratulations, Gamer, you are the IRL F1 champion, and you also wrapped up the Constructors Championship as well for Renault. So, huge congratulations. How does it feel to be champion this evening?
Oh, I mean, it's great. I mean, to do it at Britain as well, and the race I just had, I mean, that was really intense. So to come out on top is really is great, and obviously to get the Constructors as well. Shame John Pliner is not here tonight, obviously, to claim it with me. But yeah, I mean, what can I say? Just really happy with the results this season, and Yeah, I don't know what to say. Speechless.
Well, that's not usually. It's not a bad thing, is it? Usually, tonight's race it did look very tricky from watching it from the commentator's point of view. How did you approach it, knowing Elting was there in first place? Did you feel like you could challenge him early on, or were you a bit wary, knowing that he can be quite an aggressive defender when it comes to these sort of conditions? How did you approach this race, knowing that only P8 would have won you the championship? Did you want to take it a bit more cautiously, or did you just think I'll just stick to my own race plan and see how we go from there?
I mean, well, I took it like any other race, really. Just sort of judging how he got off the line, how he took the first couple of laps, and I sort of realised from then on that he was probably slightly quicker than me, so I didn't really have much opportunities to pass anyway. And after the first pit stop, obviously, I heard about his 5 second, which so I just had to stay within the 5 seconds, obviously, to win. And then they all pit a lap before the DRS got enabled, which I was quite surprised at. But obviously, that was probably the correct strategy, because without that 5 seconds, KJ would have definitely been ahead. So yeah, slight wrong strategy there, but got into the lead and then just had to fend off. I was struggling quite a lot with the transition point and the dry tyres on the wet track at the end, which took a while to get into it. So I had to do a bit of defending, but I think pretty sure KJ was running quite hard downforce, so couldn't really get close. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it's great to win. Obviously, win the championship at the same time as winning the race, and the fastest lap as well, which I'll take.
Yeah, yeah, that was a superb final lap from yourself to claim the fastest lap. So you wrapped it up in complete, absolutely amazing style. Congratulations, mate. That was absolutely superb done, and congratulations on the whole season. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch you race this season. I'm just going to move on now to our third place man. Unfortunately, Elting couldn't be joining us here in the commentary, so I'll move on to Hercules tonight. And Hercules, it's a bit of a quiet race for you tonight. You looked like you were struggling somewhat on those wet conditions, and you ended up about 10 seconds off the front two. Was that the best you could hope for tonight, or was the other things involved?
Yeah, the two guys in front were just too fast today. That, yeah, a few attempts per lap, and yeah, it was pretty lonely because Harry was after I don't remember when I overtook him. I think it was I jumped him in the pits. Unlucky for him, and then I could pull away of him, and yeah, I had a lonely race. But,
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately did have a long race, but at least you managed to keep it on the track and come home on the podium. Just want to say, going into next season for yourself, Hercules, is your aim then to try and take it to Gamer and Harry and anybody else wanted to challenge for this championship?
yeah, of course. But before this season, I thought I can be more at the front. Unfortunately, I missed a few races, and yeah, we will see next season what happen, how everything, how everyone drives the new game, and yeah, let's see.
Oh, it's good to hear from you again. And just quickly moving over to Gamer, we unfortunately won't be seeing you at Monaco. The guys going into Monaco, is it a race, just out of curiosity, is it a race you enjoy to participate in, or is it a race that, it's like a Marmite race, isn't it, Monaco? Some people love it, some people hate it. What are your feelings on Monaco?
I love it when you get hooked up and you don't hit the wall. As soon as you get damaged, that's sort of it. I mean, it's hard to overtake, so you can stay ahead, but it's just horrible. But I do like the track. I mean, I've not raced there too much, to be fair, so it would have been quite interesting. But yeah, I think it's an alright track. It's obviously a driver's track, so surviving will be the key there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you said it absolutely nailed on there. Surviving is key. Gareth, what can you say about a gamer this season? He's been absolutely superb, very consistent, and that final fastest lap on the last lap was just summed up this season, didn't it? He just absolutely nailed it once again, and it's just above everybody else.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. That was the cherry on the top. And that shows you just how consistent he's been throughout the entire season, and you can never rule him out. The last lap, I think that's 3 races so far this season that he's taken the fastest lap in the last lap of the race. So it shows you the commitment to just to get as much out of the car and as much out of the race as possible. And yeah, massive congratulations goes to Sam for what has been a mega season. 7 wins on the season. Japan, Belgium, Germany, Brazil, Italy, Canada, and of course Silverstone. So many different types of circuit, and yeah, he's ruled them all. And equally, he was pushed around about to about round 8 by Harry. Unfortunately, Harry tailed off in the final few races, which stole away a potential showdown in Monaco. But yeah, what a way to wrap up the title, as he said, with a win at Silverstone, and in very tricky conditions where he had to be on his toes. So yeah, huge props to him, but equally to the rest of the field for to keeping the battle going. But yeah, it's not just one title going to his house; it's going to be 2. Renault wrap up the constructors' championship as well. So Jumpalainen picks up some more silverware, and equally Sergio Gamer takes home the double championship this season, his first for a couple of seasons here in Invictus. So I'm sure there's going to be a couple of drivers watching this thinking, I can take it to him. I'm going to sign up, and you can do that by going to the website, signing up, and come join us here on a Monday night. We'd love to see you all here, and of course we will be moving to F1 2020 very shortly. And yeah, but for tonight and for round 11, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a stunning race. Great fun, as usual, to commentate on it. Of course, you can join us tomorrow night. Malc and Tim will be commentating on the Realistic Performance League. Tuesday night, 8 p.m. here on YouTube. Subscribe if you're not already, and equally, like and ring the bell to be notified when we go live with any further videos. Of course, Wednesday night, Dan and James covering F2, Harry and Charlie in the commentary box for F3. And of course, on Sunday, 9:30 p.m. on twitch.tv, you've got the Xbox League. And yeah, so plenty more racing, all uploaded here to YouTube. So yeah. Enjoy, have a great week. We will see you next week for the a bit of a parade, but it's going to be a fun one around the Principality and the streets of Monte Carlo in Monaco. And we'll find out who's got the nerve, who can keep it out of the walls, and who can taste some of the sweet stuff at the end of the race and the end of the season. And we'll send ourselves off with a bang in Monaco. But yeah, have a great week, guys. Stay safe, stay happy, and once again, congratulations to CRG Gamer 62, your champion for season 10 of the IRL F1 League. And yeah, we'll see you very soon.